Alright then guys, I thought I might do some analysis videos on some of my favourite D&B tunes, also just popular D&B tunes in general, maybe some that I don't like. Anyway, starting with Dead Limit. I just love the intro on this track, it's just amazing. Basically, like, this is one of those tunes that got so overplayed when it came out, but I feel like enough time has passed that it's okay to listen to it again. And I hadn't heard it for so long, and I re-listened to it, and I was just like blown away. So I thought this would be a perfect one to start with. Anyway, let's carry on. I'm going to pause it and stop it a lot and talk about things because that's the idea of this video. So if you get annoyed, then just turn the video off and watch the whole track on its own. All right. Like that switch, just the way that it built, like the first sort of phrase of the track already builds that tension, but then when it goes to that, it's like an amplification of the same tension, like even more. Like it sounds quite simple, right? But just the way they've done it is just absolutely amazing. Like you hear, like this is also often the case in a lot of great songs. There's always one element that's progressing throughout like a phrase. So for instance, in this one we heard like the percussions come in. I think it was a few seconds ago. Like you hear them coming in now, and they get louder and louder. And then the percussions get like louder and louder, and then the drums start to go like twice the speed as well, like the kicks. So like, yeah, you've got that increase of the actual like drum hits, but also there's like a volume increase of something else as well. So it's like a couple of different things that work together to like create more tension, basically. What I really love and what kind of gives this track one of its signature sounds is this. Just before it goes into the breakdown. That's like a trill, right? Because it's a kind of like it's like a little mini riff melody, but it's not a riff because it doesn't repeat. It's just like a fill, but it's a trill, right? But the sound design of it is obviously really unique. Like you can't really tell exactly what it necessarily is. Like, is it some kind of distorted guitar or distorted synth or something? But anyway, the diddle brings it in, having those little trills right at the end of a big section. And it's just a thing you only hear every so often. It just makes like such a good impact, you know. Obviously, this is the classic breakdown Reese that we've all heard like so many times. If you haven't heard it before, then welcome. So you've got kind of at least 3 like different automations happening on that Reese, which are really exciting and exciting because I'm a music geek. All right, shut up. So basically, you've got it's in 2 octaves, right? It's and then it goes up, and then also there's a faster wobble on the bass, which could have been like because you can map the pitch to like the wobble in effect, like how there's so many ways you can do it, but a classic way of a Reese is like you have a number of detuned saw waves, so it's lots of different saw waves at the same time, and the higher up the pitch, the like faster they're detuning with each other, and so you get this faster wobble effect. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, basically, it could have been done by that, and it sounds to me like it was, because that's the kind of classic way that you would modulate a Reese, I think, you know? Anyway, you've got that happening. Then you've got you've got like filtering, which is different as well. So the cutoff on the filter is changing throughout, and it's also got a lot of other like subtle automations throughout the sound that give it like extra life and movement. And yeah, all of this combined together makes this like sonic masterpiece, basically, because it's all the attention to detail at the end of the day. So when the drums come in the little fill just before the drop, what you can hear is basically a prelude to the actual full drums that do come on the drop. So they're not giving you the whole full impact of the drums before the drop hits, because it's, you know, that's going to create the contrast for when the drop is actually, when it's actually on the drop, then you get the full drums, right? And essentially what I kind of figured out is they're literally just a bit quieter, and they just have the brightness taken off. I don't know what mark, 4, 5, 6,000 kilohertz, something like that. The brightness has been like taken off, as far as I can hear. But you still have the treble of them, and you still got the snappiness of the actual drums. So they're still like a real drum group. And you know, you're thinking like, okay, these drums are cool. But then when the drop comes in, it's like they're just times 10, because they've got then that whole layer of brightness above them as well, which just makes it wicked. If you listen to the drums the whole way through, they've got a really nice groove to them. Not only is the sound design of them like absolutely wicked, and they sound really natural and organic and also punchy, but they've got such a nice groove on them, and particularly in the little fills between like 4 bars or whatever, there's a little extra snare hit or something just to carry on that groove even more. That switch always gets me as well, because what I love about that switch especially, and the whole soundscape of the track at this point, is like the bass feels so like low and heavy and like deep down, but then the shakers are like so bright on top of it, but it's almost like they're being distorted and squashed by the bass, and it kind of gives that effect that like even more that the bass is just like so big in the bottom end that it's just distorting everything, but it's actually not, and they've done it in a way that it is actually, it kind of draws your attention to how big and powerful the bass is, but without actually sort of distorting the rest of the track. Like it's a bit of a like psychological trick. So you've got that really low bass and those awesome drums that are like driving the whole song, but then they've still carved out like enough space for this really cool lead that is so iconic, the wow 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 wow, which is wicked. And you actually hear when that lead is also playing, there's also another sound in the background that's sort of like dancing with it in a sense. And I don't know exactly what that sound is, but I'll try and figure it out. Yeah, so there's a kind of sort of percussive, it sounds like a sort of percussive synth hit or something, but it's hitting very dynamically and sort of offset to the groove of the lead sound, and that just makes that lead sound pop out even more in terms of its groove. So that's I didn't actually really notice that before until I'm listening to it now, that kind of sound was in the background. I never really analysed it like this before. But yeah, that's dope. and you've got all these little fills where they take out all of the bass, and you just get that lead, and it's obviously been low cut, so there's no like low kind of information in that lead. It's quite sort of like 300 or 400 hertz and upwards is where the fundamental of it is. And so by cutting out these big sections of bass, like towards the end of each section, you just keep it interesting the whole time, and it also, like when it comes back in, you get that same impact that you almost did from the drop as well. So that's just something to always bear in mind, is like having these, playing with not necessarily silence because there's other sounds in it, but just playing with the overall elements and taking out some of the main ones just for a little second here and there to breathe, and then so they can come back in like refreshed, like they've been recharged. So obviously, I love that part when those shakers come in, and then they've just used the lead again, but they've obviously changed the pitch of it, which is, it's cheating really. Like, do something else. That's a classic trick. No, I'm just kidding. It sounds good. And then, like towards the end of, like halfway through this section, you hear in the background that pad, like main, like kind of lead pad is like slowly coming in again. And so again, like you've always got something moving in the background and coming in slowly over time. It's what gives the track narrative, rather than having just solid individual sections. You've got always something that's like progressing things along nicely. Classic breakdown, nothing really too special or different about it. It's got some... So we just had some swirly atmospheres and a little bit of like low passed bass rhythm going on, and then it's not long till we're back into the Reese breakdown part. Not wasting too much time, they're getting straight back into it, ready to get you dancing again, right? So in a sense, the second drop is like, why change a winning formula, right? So they've just cut out a little bit of the bass part, essentially, here. From what I hear, that's the only real main difference from the second drop to the first drop. But there's no problem with that. I mean, this was 2015 uploaded, right? 6 minutes, which is pretty long for a song. Like, I'd probably stop it there. Do you know what I mean? 3 minutes 50. Like, who's got time? Yeah, I think it kind of sort of continues and loops there. So let's just fast forward to the outro, because that's the most important part of any song. Oh, wasn't expecting that. Here we come there. It's all about simplicity, with that vibe that they set for the whole track, with this like down, down, down. It's so simple, but just the sound of it is what makes it great. The way it builds tension is primarily in the sound, not necessarily complex keys or something. I've never heard this part before. Is this real?
Maybe in a way I should care.
Okay, I like that.
I don't know. No.
Oh, there's even a little bit of a weird vocal at the end. Yeah, so that was Dead Limit, first one. Let me know if you enjoyed my little review analysis, and comment on what song I should do next. Peace.